The divorce decree hadn't even dried when my ex decided he needed one final win. The notary's office was painfully neat, the kind of place where emotions felt out of place. Lemon cleaner lingered in the air, mixing with the scent of old files and polished wood. The conference table between us gleamed like a barrier, reflecting the overhead lights and every unspoken word we refused to say. Across from me sat Mark, my husband of 15 years, now a man I barely recognized. His eyes were locked on the paperwork, jaw clenched so tightly I could see tension pulsing at his temple. He didn't look angry exactly, he looked controlled, dangerous. This wasn't the man I married. That man had once danced barefoot in the kitchen and laughed until he wheezed. This version was hollowed out by ambition, sharpened by entitlement, and fueled by a bitterness that poisoned everything it touched. The past 2 years had been a slow demolition. His drive became obsession. His confidence turned cruel. By the time he filed for divorce, he made it sound like mercy, like he was finally freeing himself from the weight of me. The notary, Mrs. Alvarez, cleared her throat gently. "If you'll both sign here, we can finalize everything." Mark grabbed the pen first, scribbling his signature like an act of violence. He shoved the papers toward me without looking up. My hand shook as I signed my name. Sarah Connolly, a name I was about to shed. A tear slipped despite my resolve, smudging the ink. I wiped it away quickly, furious with myself. "That's it," Mrs. Alvarez said softly. "The settlement is now legally binding." Mark leaned back, exhaling sharply. Then his eyes dropped to my left hand. "No," he said, "not everything." The room froze. His gaze burned into my wedding ring. "I want that." I instinctively curled my fingers. "It's listed as personal property. The agreement says—" "I paid for it," he snapped. "That ring is a symbol of a contract, and the contract is over." Mrs. Alvarez started to protest, but Mark stood, leaning across the table, rage simmering just beneath his skin. "Give it to me," he hissed. "Right now." My heart thundered. Slowly, I slid the ring off, the band catching on my knuckle like it always had. He smiled. He thought he'd won. But instead of handing it over, I reached into my back and pulled out a blue folder. Mark's victory smile faltered as the folder hit the table, because some endings don't begin with surrender. They begin with exposure. The folder made a soft sound when it landed on the table, but in that quiet office, it might as well have been a gunshot. Mark stared at it, then at me. His smirk returned, smug and dismissive. "What's this, a scrapbook? One last attempt to guilt me?" I met his eyes calmly. "Open it." He laughed, the cold corporate laugh he used in meetings when someone said something beneath him. "I'm not playing games. Give me the ring." I rested my hand on the folder. "You open that, or I walk out with it, and it goes straight to your board, and to David." His confidence flickered, just for a second. "You're bluffing," he said, quieter now. "Try me." The silence stretched. Even the notary looked uneasy. Finally, Mark snatched the folder open. The sneer vanished. Inside weren't letters or photos, but yellowed graph paper, technical schematics, handwritten equations, notes in careful ink. He flipped pages faster and faster. Color drained from his face. These weren't random drawings. They were the foundation of Innovate. The compression algorithm Mark had claimed was his late-night breakthrough. The idea that made him rich. The idea he said I'd never understand. At the bottom of the first page was a signature. Not his. My father's. Mark dropped the papers like they burned. "Where did you get these?" he whispered. "In my dad's workshop," I said. "I almost threw them away." His hands trembled. I slid another paper toward him, a notarized affidavit from my father's former colleague confirming the work, the dates, and the collaboration. Mark collapsed into his chair. "What do you want?" he asked hoarsely. I tapped the divorce agreement. "We rewrite this." His eyes widened. "I want majority control of Innovate," I said. 51%. You step down." "That's everything," he gasped. "No," I said. "It's accountability." Mark thought the ring was the final humiliation, but the real reckoning was only beginning. Mark folded faster than I expected. Too fast. That realization hit me as I walked out of the office afterward, the victory settling uneasily in my chest. Men like Mark didn't surrender. They regrouped. The elevator ride down felt wrong, hollow. That's when I saw the car. A sleek black town car idled at the curb, the window lowered. David, Mark's business partner, his best friend, the man who toasted us for our wedding. "Get in," David said. "We need to talk." Relief washed over me until I heard his tone. Inside the car, the truth unraveled. David had known for years. Mark had confessed after their second funding round, sworn him to secrecy, framed it as protection. I felt sick. David opened a white folder. "Mark wants to buy you out, 25%. Cash, NDA, you walk away." It was obscene money, enough to disappear forever. I thought of my father. "No," I said. David's expression hardened. "Then you should see this." He opened the folder. A photograph. Me, years ago, laughing at a cafe. Across from me, David. My blood went cold. Mark had found the photos. "This beats your folder," David said quietly. The threat was clear. And suddenly, I understood. This wasn't about winning. It was about choosing how to burn. The blue folder revealed his lie, but the white folder revealed the cost of truth. Fear gave way to clarity. "Turn the car around," I said. David stared at me. "You're serious?" "Yes." Back in the notary's office, David told the truth. Everything. The theft, the cover-up, the silence. Mark tried to destroy me, but it failed. The photo leaked, but next to fraud, it meant nothing. The truth drowned the scandal. Mark tried to bury the truth, but it buried him instead. The media storm was brutal. The board panicked. Mark raged. But evidence doesn't care about tantrums. I took control. Innovate became Peterson Innovate. Mark lost everything he stole. Power taken by deception never survives exposure. David stayed, not as a shadow, but as someone earning redemption. The company healed. So did I. Some victories don't feel loud, they feel earned. I framed my father's schematic in my office, not as revenge, as truth. The inheritance wasn't money, it was integrity. The ring sits in a drawer somewhere, forgotten. Truth lasts longer than metal. And this story? It was never about a marriage, it was about reclaiming a name.